You're a senior leader. You figure out what your 30, 60, 90 plan needs to be. I will tell you the things that I'm seeing from where I need your help and support. And you tell me, you prioritize it for me. You tell me what needs to be done to get it done. But I hired you and you're an expert at this. I'm going to trust that you can do it. And here are the KPIs by which I will know that we're able to do it.
What's up, agency owners? Jason Swenk here with another episode of the Smart Agency Masterclass, a podcast for the digital agency owner that wants to scale and grow faster by hearing other amazing stories. And on today's episode is no different. I have an amazing agency owner who's been growing at over 250% from the past 3 years. And we're going to go over exactly how he did that, how he made the Inc. 5000 list, and just really kicked it in gear and is really growing pretty quick and wants to grow to over 80 million in revenue. So let's go ahead and jump into the show. Hey, Samir, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jason.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to have you on. So obviously we know each other really well, but for the people listening, tell us who you are and what do you do?
Sure. I'm Samir Balwani, founder of Query. We're a paid media agency that specializes in helping e-commerce brands grow predictably and profitably, helping them with everything from paid search and social to out of home and whatever you need to buy, we'll buy it. So that's what we do, and that's what we're really good at.
Awesome. And so how did you get into the agency space? Was this accident or did you have a plan for it?
A mix of both, to be honest. So I've had the luxury of working agency side, startup side, and then Fortune 500. And while I was at American Express on the enterprise side, helping with brand strategy, one of the things I had noticed is the best brands have realized that the best agency relations are by having true subject matter experts. So the big companies have found out that a media buying agency and a creative agency, when separate, put against each other, lead to the best outcomes. It's because creative agencies come at it with the perspective of, I want the most beautiful brand product. I want to actually do something that's going to win awards. But then sometimes forget that it's actually got to sell things. And then the media buying agency tends to say, hey, I'm being gauged on the numbers. I got to be able to hit performance goals. And so they really push that stuff. The joke I always tell clients is, when you work with full service agencies, you get some good results, but the reality of the situation is there's an interplay that's missing. Somebody wins. And I noticed that and said, we're going to do this for mid-sized businesses. And so that's why we built Query for media buying.
That's awesome. I always love to hear the origin story and kind of like why, because I totally agree with you on, the agencies that try to do everything. It's kind of like I always tell people, if you're having a heart attack, are you going to go to a general practitioner? I mean, they could tell you, yeah, you're having a heart attack, but could they stop it? Could they save your life? I'd rather have the specialist, for that one rather than designing pretty colors or telling me, whatever this is. Let's kind of get into, growing at 250% is it's amazing. So walk me through, because there's a lot of people that they've not grown that fast. First off, does that scare you thinking back? Like if you went back to yourself 3 years ago and said, we're going to be growing at 250%, would that have scared you back then?
No, because I didn't know what was about to hit me. And if you ask me this question of, did it scare me yesterday? The answer is yes. And I think that's the difference, right? Experience has taught me that there's a lot of things that need to be solved for that you don't realize you need to solve for. And we had the foresight to solve for a lot of it ahead of time, or so we thought we had solved for a lot ahead of time, but not nearly in the ways and in the depth that I thought we needed to. And now we are doing that. And I'd say the agency is now set to scale pretty consistently without as much effort as we've had to do in the past. And we'll continue to grow from that.
So going back 3 years ago, did you have a goal? What was your goal? Like, if you had to say, like, going back Did you have a specific goal? Like, was it 250? Was it 500? Was it 100? Was it just to grow?
So I have had a 10-year plan since the inception of the business, and we are on track with our 10-year plan. And that, I think one of the things about not being a true accidental agency owner, I like to put myself in the middle. I didn't know it was going to be an agency, and then it ended up being an agency. But the second it realized that was kind of our path forward, is we put together a methodical plan around how we're going to reach it. So I have a structured senior leadership team. We have investments in sales and marketing. We've spent a lot in operational efficiencies on our end. We focused in on a niche, all the things that we know that we need to be successful to continue to reach our goals.
I like that you said, I have a 10-year plan, right? Because a lot of people, they just think 6 months, month, maybe a year. They don't really kind of think of the long term, right? And you remember kind of like what I was telling all the mastermind members a couple of weeks ago. I was like, what do you want in 20 years?
Yeah.
And like, what does that plan look like? Especially if you were going to 10X or 20X or whatever it is. Like, what does that look like, just to try to think? So how did you have the vision 3 years ago to think 10 years out?
Honestly, it was what gets me excited, right? The 10-year plan is partially, it aligns with our vision for what we hope to accomplish. And so if I put together a vision, mission, and core values, which we have, and our vision is to help support tomorrow's most popular consumer brands, then I know that then I need to be able to do these things in 10 years to make that come to reality. And that we need to be this size to be able to be doing that consistently. And so I work back from there. The beauty of it is we present the 5-year plan to the agency as a whole. So they're all on board with it. They understand where we're going and how we expect to grow. And it gets people excited about wanting to do that work and being a part of that growth. People want to know where they're going, and they don't want to just sit still. And so if you don't tell your team that, it's really hard to motivate them and get them excited about the agency.
3 years ago, did you have a leadership team, or when did you start building your leadership team?
My second hire was my leadership team. We went right into a senior account director to help manage all client services and grew from there. And then we had a media director right after that to manage all media and go from there.
And what's been the biggest challenge with scaling so quick?
2 big challenges is we grow faster than the stage gates that most agencies go through. So agencies go through growing pains at different revenue numbers or different employee sizes. A 250K annual revenue to $1 million annual revenue to $3 million annual revenue. Those are very different things that you're solving for. We grew fast enough that we blew past some of them. And so while we were solving some of the stage gates, we already were having issues with the next round of stage gates. And so that's been really exhausting to kind of keep up with. And to, I talked about vision and drive and wanting to get people excited about the vision. Part of the reason why you need to get people excited about the vision when you're growing this fast is something is always on fire. You're going so fast that there is always a fire that needs to be put out. We're not slowing down to look at the roses and take some time. We've got ambitious growth goals, and that translates not only to us, to our clients as well. We grow when our clients grow. So we want them to be successful also. And so it's really important that we continue without burning out the team. And that's how we've been able to accomplish that.
Tell me more about kind of going through those stages of and knowing which fires to put out.
Yeah, it's funny. We the other benefit of working at American Express is you learn a lot about how HR and roles and hierarchy and performance reviews and all of those things work. We hired a HR person relatively early in our journey, and the idea around why I did that was because I came to realization that the same way if you ran a factory, you would want someone that's making sure that your machines are working really well. I wanted to make sure that my team was always taken care of because they were the what we are giving to our clients to make sure that they are successful. And so recognize that our hiring processes, our performance review processes, identifying employees that needed to be transitioned out and as quickly as possible. Otherwise, we would lose the reputation in the market, which is the most valuable thing for us. And so making sure that that was in place early, that's one of those stage gates, recognizing that that's how we're going to grow. Another stage gate is investing in sales and marketing. At what point do you start to actually spend money there? I've been doing a ton of podcasts. I've been doing a lot of writing. You have a series of books out. We're in the middle of writing a series of books too. So all of these things are things that only happen when you open up time for yourself. And the only way you open up time for yourself is by hiring senior leaders. And so at each stage gate, you're identifying which senior leader you're going to be hiring to open up bandwidth.
Yeah, it's really smart of like looking rather than figuring out how, like, the destination, it's more about like who.
Yeah.
When you were choosing your who's, do you have a way of, because obviously it's worked out for you, a lot of us struggle with finding the who's or really knowing what are the details of the who. So what worked for you in that regard?
I think one of the reasons why a lot of people struggle with senior leaders, especially senior leadership hires, is they have extremely unrealistic expectations. And when you hire a senior leader and you assume they're going to be the silver bullet that fixes everything, and then you tell them how to fix it, that's not a great senior leader. So I can tell you, we just hired a director of operations, and it's been a fantastic journey, and it's helped us. We have been growing really fast, and one of the things that I challenged the team was, okay, how do we find efficiencies in our business? What can be automated? Where can we be spending less time thinking and more time being strategic? Less time doing the day-to-day, more time helping our clients with strategic thinking. So we hired a director of operations to come in and help us and take a look at everything across the board. And what I told him is, look, I'm not going to give you your 30, 60, 90 day. You're a senior leader. You figure out what your 30, 60, 90 plan needs to be. I will tell you the things that I'm seeing from where I need your help and support. And you tell me, you prioritize it for me. You tell me what needs to be done to get it done. But I hired you and you're an expert at this. I'm going to trust that you can do it. And here are the KPIs by which I will know that we're able to do it. And when we have those kinds of conversations and are able to just say, hey, I have faith in you. Like, we have decided to hire you because you are an expert in what you do. Here are the KPIs by which we'll prove out that you're an expert at what you do, and then let them off to the races. I have never not been surprised by the outputs of the things that have been done when we've been able to give the team autonomy to do them in the ways that they want to do them.
How are you weeding through all the crap when interviewing people?
I'm going to give our head of people and culture a giant high five off that one. We are, we're a good-sized agency that acts like an enterprise. So we've got a hiring matrix. We do full rounds of interviews. So just got no different like how you would hire an agency, your discovery call with the person, have an intro, make sure they're a good fit. They, speak with the people and culture leader, make sure they're a good fit there. There's a full matrix around, this is what we're looking for. We have every role outlined with roles, responsibilities, core KPIs that we monitor, qualitative and quantitative feedback. Each role has a doc, everything that we expect from that person. We are not allowed to hire somebody unless we have a training plan, that doc, and a performance review, a mid-year review, and an annual performance review, as well as a training plan. So those documents have to be in place before we hire somebody. And so that allows us to have really good interviews with people because we already know this is exactly what we're trying to solve for. This is what they need to be able to do. Will they be successful or not from a skill set standpoint? And then the interview is really just around culture and fit.
I love it. I mean, there's not many people that learn that at the stage that you learned it at. I mean, most people are like, crap, I need a marketing person. Like, go on LinkedIn and look at a job description and post that out. I mean, it's really something to kind of think about for the audience of going, write all those things out. And really, then you can really kind of judge if they're going to be successful at it. And you'll know the right questions to ask. because I think you've done it the right way, where you've come up with a long-term vision. You've communicated that to your team, which is, the job of the CEO, and then put the right people in the right seat in order to, execute on it. What does your day-to-day role look like now? And how is it different from 3 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, 3 years ago, I was still somewhat client facing, helping support where needed. But I'd say still in the weeds, still focused on that kind of stuff. Now, I am not client facing at all. I manage sales, biz dev, and marketing. We'll do a handful of tier one client meetings with me every once in a while to just to make sure that I'm connecting with them. That's valuable. Building IP and just focusing on that kind of work. And then really attempting to learn as much as possible. It's been one of the most valuable things. So you point out we've had a lot of systems in places and things like that. And, I didn't come up with it. I had a conversation with an agency owner that was twice the size of me. And he's like, this is where I ran into things. Or, I spoke to a CFO and he said, hey, we work with a lot of agencies and you're really underinvested in marketing. I look at my job as getting as many inputs as possible and then really distilling into what is valuable to our agency and what will move us forward at where we are. I'll give you a perfect example of a problem that a lot of agencies deal with is, what should I invest in first, sales or marketing, right? And people go back and forth on it. What should I go first, sales or marketing? And I talked to 20 different agency owners. Jason, I picked your brain on it, Darby about it, and just nonstop having conversations with people about it. And then I realized for us, we needed to invest in marketing first because I have already been doing all the sales. And a lot of people would say to do it the flip side. And I needed to figure out what worked for our agency and our growth and the staffing and what we have in place right now. And so that's what it is. It's, my job is resource management and just really understanding where everything needs to go.
I love it. What other things have helped you along the way in order to get you to where you're going and where you're wanting to go?
Yeah, I mean, and I'll give you a little plug here. The mastermind has actually been super, super helpful. I'm also part of Entrepreneurs Organization, which is a great resource. Being a business owner is lonely at times. There's not a lot of people that can really understand what you're going through, the ups and downs of it. And it's not the stress, it's the elation one day and absolute abysmal rejection the next day. And it's the swing back and forth, man. And so my wife at one point is like, Samir, I can't listen anymore. Cause like one morning we're going to be she's like, oh, you closed all this business. The next morning it's like, what's going on? And so I think entrepreneurs are set up in a specific way to be able to survive that, and being able to talk to other entrepreneurs is really helpful and soul redeeming at times to just be able to kind of have a conversation about it and be open about it. So I recommend CEO groups like this stage or EO or the mastermind. Anything you can do to find a community is more valuable than you realize.
Yeah, you are correct. And the check's in the mail, Samir. Thank you. But I'm glad you mentioned the other one, so they knew it wasn't set up. But
no, I mean, and sorry, Jason, to cut you off, like to give you an understanding, one of my first investments was an executive coach because I realized that I needed to be able to tell somebody what I was dealing with and what was going on and help get feedback in terms of what matters, what doesn't matter. And then from there, I started joining mastermind groups and entrepreneurs at this stage, all those guys. I think it's probably one of the best investments a CEO can make in themselves to just help weather everything.
Yeah, we get into it's funny that you mentioned it's kind of like 1 minute it's like amazing, and then another minute it's like, oh my God, we're going to die, right? Like the business won't survive. And it's crazy. And then when you can hear other people and going, okay, I'm not the only one that's going through this. And there's other people that understand what I'm going through. They're going through it now. So we can, or, they've gone through it, and you're just like, you kind of feel better about it, right? You're kind of like, well, good. I'm not the only one that sucks right now.
Yes. It's absolutely, it's a little bit of that and a little bit of just people going, it's going to be all right. Like you just need some people to be like, it's going to be all right. I've been there. And that helps so much. And then honestly, it's, getting as many viewpoints from as many people as possible helps you make the best decision. And I get viewpoints from people that I don't even like. People laugh at me because I will ask anybody any question. I'll talk to a doctor's office and then I ask the doctor's office, like, how are you guys getting clients? Like, what are you doing? And it's like, you never know where inspiration will come from. And so, yeah, I think that has helped us stay sane through all of this and continue to grow.
It's curiosity, right? And I always look at it as success leaves clues. So if you can, be around other people and be curious and take little bits and pieces, right? Like I always hate when people put out stuff, this is exactly how you need to do it in order to get what I have. Like, no, it's not. Like there's like how I've always grown is I'll see something and going, ooh, I like that part. Or I'll watch a TV ad of something and be like, ooh, that would totally relate to a funny video I could do for agency owners.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, you just take these little bits of silver to make your own silver bullet. Right. Because there's no such thing as a silver bullet.
It's funny you say curiosity. It's actually our number one core value is always be curious. It's the only way we've been successful and have instilled it into the entire team. It's ask questions, figure out where it's going to go. Want to learn about things, and it doesn't matter what you're learning about. Anything that you learn could be applied. You really never know how it'll relate. And so I agree. I think, finding that next nugget, it comes from asking questions, wanting to be better.
Yeah. And our other core value we have is being resourceful. You've probably seen the complete opposite at American Express in some roles. Right? When you have 1,000 different people, but you can learn from that and going, we don't have the budgets that American Express has, and we need to be a little more resourceful.
Yeah. And just trying to figure things out is really a valuable skill all around. And it starts with curiosity, right? Like if you can even figure out what the problem is or how you're going to want to go along it can be petrifying at times. And so people that are naturally curious are also naturally excited about solving problems. And I think that, it's why it's number one on our core values. It's why we hire against it, fire against it. And we're always finding ways to help people be more curious.
Yeah, I love it. Well, this has all been amazing. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you think would benefit the listeners listening in?
You didn't ask me this, but I think one of the things you did ask me around when I hired my senior leadership team, but I will say my very first hire was an outsourced CFO. And I think what a lot of accidental agency owners and even just general agency owners undervalue is the value of their books and how clean they should be, so you can actually have a better understanding of your business. And I'll always say that was my most valuable first step in setting up the business for success, because I always knew what our cash flow was, where our money was going, were our clients profitable or not profitable, did our service and pricing make sense? And then to your point, Jason, you always say raise prices. It gave me an opportunity to actually be strategic around how we raise our prices, because I knew who to raise prices for, who I could justify it against. So I think that if I were to say to somebody that's just starting an agency now, is to really have and focus on the business fundamentals and the financial acumen that comes with it. It is key to success.
Well, that's true to an old agency. If you've been doing it 20 years, I tell everybody it's always the foundation is the foundation. And the foundation is fundamentals for building, right? It's like when I was playing tennis, I always tell a story when I was playing tennis and I was a really good tennis player and I was playing a really bad tennis player in college and he was beating me. And I literally had my coach had to say, go back to the fundamentals, just watch the ball and hit it. And then I wound up, I came back and broke his heart. When you're up 6-0, 5-0 and you lose, that's kind of a heartbreaker.
That's a tough beat. Yeah, that's a tough beat.
So go back to the fundamentals, everybody. Samir, what's the website people can go and check out the agency?
It's weareqry.com, or just find me on LinkedIn, Samir Balwani.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for going on the show. And if you guys enjoyed this episode and you want to be around other amazing agency owners like Samir, where you can kind of tap on him and all the other members and me, and you want to really kind of unlock your profit potential and really kind of create a self-managing agency where it creates you freedom, predictability, and wealth, I'd love to invite all of you to go to agencymastery360.com and click on Scale My Agency, and we'll set up a call with you and see if we can help you out. So go to agencymastery360.com, and until next time, have a swank day.